present. And I'm not finding, Steve, are you familiar with these site plan reviews? I'm not finding anything that suggests any particular authority. Are you?
No, there isn't.
I was under the impression it was a majority of the.
That's good. That is, I mean,
Actually, our code is silent on passage of anything by the Board of Alderman. The intent is to help ensure compliance with the zoning regulations. And I guess that's what planning and zoning reviews, is whether
Yes.
it is compliant.
Yeah, they have, however, 12 or 13 questions that are planning and zoning oriented. And if they answer all of those, then they approve it.
And honestly, our code is silent on what it takes to pass or approve. And the requirement of 5 votes is to pass an ordinance. This is not an ordinance.
Okay.
You do have a majority of the council present voting
very
in
well.
favor. And I, in the absence of any reason to the contrary, I would say that it passed.
Okay. Well, so there were 4-3 vote in favor of the site plan. The site plan is approved.
4-3, I'm sorry.
4-2, I'm sorry, 4-2. Pardon me. Next is case 2207, a site plan review of Optic Communications at 105 North Main. Someone from Optics like to talk?
P&Z also heard this one and they are recommending approval.
Hi.
Hi.
Tricia Smith with Anderson Engineering, representing Optic Communications. We are proposing a 1,750 square foot building to go on the site with 5 parking spots on the site and then 2 on the street, which meets the requirement of having a parking spot for every 400 square feet, because there's the building and then the shelter with 600 square feet. There will not be any increase in impervious areas, so there's no, we don't need any kind of requirement for storm. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions from the council? I would assume that,
You're not gonna sell alcohol, right?
No, I'm not.
I would assume that if you don't get the parking's available when you have a funeral, you won't mind if some of the people going to a funeral next door would sit there.
Be good neighbors.
Okay, okay. All right, great.
Great,
Glad to
great
hear
news.
that. Glad to hear that. Anything else? Thank you. I go expect to vote on it if you guys want to.
I move we approve the site plan presented for Optic Communications.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Roger Spencer to approve case 2207, the site plan for Optic Communications at 105 North Main Street. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative this time. The site plan is approved. 2 absent. Next is case 2208, amending chapter 405 zoning regulations. This is a public hearing to change the zoning regulations. Steve, you want to get into this?
Yeah, planning and zoning also heard this one. They are recommending approval. A little clarification on it. Our current code, if a house is on a corner lot, they are allowed to build a privacy fence out to their property line behind their house. But if they're going to build any accessory structures behind that, whether it be a pool house, a storage shed, whatever accessory structure, they have to go 25 feet in. Our normal accessory structure for everything else is 10 foot off the side and 6 foot off of the back. This would change it to, if it is behind a privacy fence, they can use the 10 foot and 6 foot rule. If it is not behind a privacy fence, they still have to do the 25 foot rule.
Understand that the original rule is because of the unique position of a corner lot, having two side streets, and just didn't want accessory buildings up there.
Yeah.
But it didn't allow for the situation Steve was just describing. This would allow that.
Any questions?
Just need a motion to accept the changes?
Well, I guess this is speaking in favor of it. Is there anyone who would like this, be opposed to this change in the zoning regulations of chapter 405? Anyone like to speak and opposed to that? If there are no more comments, I will close the public hearing down. And we have an ordinance later on, so we don't need to vote on anything right now. So moving right along, now we have approval of a bid for Delta Dental and Vision and a renewal of Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield Health Insurance.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I hate to do this, and perhaps I was looking at the code. Did we approve the minutes from the previous meeting,
Yes, sir.
including the closed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think I was looking at the code, didn't realize that,
Yeah.
and I will seal them now.
Yeah, we voted on that.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you.
So Steve, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, you've got in front of you the two documents with the breakdowns on it. They did renew us at a 4% instead of the 8%, so they were able to bring it down, which is modest. The change on it is Delta, which will now handle the dental and vision instead of United. It is a reduction in the premium for that. Delta has a lot wider coverage for dentists that use Delta. It's more acceptable. And it's the coverage itself for the individual is the same. But we took that reduction in the premium.
Any questions about the healthcare? We got to do this now, right?
Yep.
Because, yeah, Mike.
The spreadsheet you hand out with comparing the future rates with the current rates, I guess I'm just not real clear on where these numbers are coming from. Some of them just aren't adding up to me as far as the city contribution, the employee contribution. When you add those together, it's not really equaling the premiums that I'm seeing, and I'm just trying to figure out what I'm looking at exactly.
So for the health premium for an employee, the city pays 100% of that. For dental, we pay half. So you would take the $685, which is half of the premium for dental, or excuse me, $1473. Excuse me, I was on the wrong column. $1473, and the health premium of $685. That's your
Vision.
city, and the vision employee pays 100% of it. So that comes up to your $772. Unless I made a mathematical error, which I'm using Excel.
We're able to get the employee contribution down a little bit then?
Yes, yeah. And that's because the city doesn't partake in the vision, and the vision insurance went down. So that would affect theirs only and not ours.
You okay?
Yeah.
Anything else?
I was just gonna say,
Go ahead.
I mean, so what it looks like that although you said the rates did go up 4%, it is actually net savings for the employee.
Yes.
Because of vision, yeah.
Yes, because of the vision coverage.
And actually, dental's cheaper too.
Right. Previously, they paid $1082 for vision, and now they pay $685. And previously they paid $1990 for dental, and now they're paying $1473.
Yeah. The dental insurance went down too, because we changed.
It's nice to see some go down, Reggie.
Yeah, these rates are really good.
So, you guys want to approve this or not?
Yeah, I think
We approve it.
Motion by Roger Spencer, second by Donna Allen to approve the bid for Delta Dental and Vision and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield Health Insurance. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative with 2 absent. You can tell them that we want to renew with them. Thank you all for coming. Next is a discussion of imposing a sales tax on retail sales of adult use marijuana. This ought to be a good topic.
With the passage of Amendment 3, there are a couple of options for the city, and those options vary greatly. The first one is that we can impose a sales tax, 3%, and 3% goes directly into our general fund. The second option is we can totally ban the sale of adult use marijuana in the city limits. The difference being that the sales tax goes to the next general election and is a simple majority vote. If we want to ban it, it goes to the next presidential election and it requires a 60% vote to pass. So the requirements are a little bit more stringent on it in being able to totally ban the sale. We currently do not have anybody selling it. The one at Airport Drive is actually in Airport Drive. We don't get any sales tax off of that. If we want to put this on the April ballot, and this ordinance came from MML, Mike.
Okay,
Yeah,
correct.
it came from MML. They're the ones that came up with it. It's fill in the blank one and the ballot language and everything. So if we would want to put this on the next ballot in April to collect that sales tax, we would have to pass an ordinance at the next meeting. I'll try to answer any questions I can.
I give you my comments on it. It's like most of the people, well, got checked and it was voted against in Carl Junction. So my theory is if you don't want marijuana sold in Carl Junction and you have a sales tax on it, and there's one in Airport Drive that does not have the sales tax on it, that gives us the advantage of not selling stuff here. The other thing I want to say is, if you have the sales tax ballot in it and the sales tax passes, can't you in November still ban it? In the
Yes,
next presidential election, you can still ban it.
it would reverse that sales tax and take the sales tax off of
So
the books.
worst case is, we don't put it on or it fails, and somebody opens a shop here in town, we don't get any revenue on it, and they'll be the same pricing maybe as the other one in Airport Drive. Because we can't ban it until people want to ban it until the next presidential election. Yeah, Madonna.
What, was it the difference in the ballot language? Is that why we can, as a city, you can ban it? Because you can't ban, remember, you could
No,
not
that's
ban
part
medical
of-
marijuana.
That is part of the language inside Amendment 3.
That's what,
That they gave municipalities an app.
because I know you couldn't.
Yeah, you could not, the current way they sell it by prescription, you couldn't ban it.
I was just gonna say, you could ban the sale, but not the use. People can still use it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this amendment too has it so you can designate certain areas within the city that you can only smoke into.
This, if we pass this, then we can put restrictions on it with planning and zoning, where a business has to meet criteria on planning and zoning side to back it up. Mr. Burns.
The 3% is not part of the fill in the blank from MML. So is that the max that you can impose? Is
Yes.
3% sales tax?
Well, I guess, go ahead.
Personally, I would rather go with the option to impose a sales tax. And if people want to set up business here and people want to purchase inside the city, then we get the benefits of the sales tax. Because the people who are gonna purchase in the city will purchase somewhere else anyhow, and that sales tax will go to wherever. I would much rather see us have an opportunity to put a sales tax and collect the tax from the residents who are gonna be purchasing at Airport Drive
Well,
instead.
Airport Drive, will they have a sales tax on this?
There was a mass email discussion going on, and they said that they were gonna discuss it.
I think it would be proactive to pass the tax.
Okay, is anybody opposed to not voting on it next meeting? So let's go.
Gives you a couple weeks to
Yeah, let's
think
go.
about it. If you have any questions, I've got MML in their latest publication. They had a pretty good article on implementing
I'm just curious, what is adult use? Is it, what's the age of?
21.
21.
Okay, so that's just kind of what we decided. We're gonna have an ordinance next week and everybody can vote on it, or next meeting, and everybody can vote on it.
Okay.
Is that okay? All right. Well, let's move right
I
along.
got one other question.
Yeah,
Do we even have a setup to apply for a license for it, or?
We'll have to put it in place. We'll have to get that in place too. If we do impose that, it takes 90 days before the state actually starts collecting it and we start seeing receipts from it. What we'll do in the meantime, before we go to the ballot, is we will get language together to add it to the business license, see about adding it to the restrictions and stuff in P and Z, that type of thing.
Thank you.
anything else?
I got
Yeah,
maybe a different question, but if it's federally illegal,
It's still federally illegal.
It's legal in the state of Missouri though. And that's the laws.
It is
Curious,
still
so
illegal.
we can take that money and put it in a federal bank?
Yeah.
I don't.
That's-
Because it's a sales tax, yes.
And that is legislation right now that's being presented anyhow, so that to lift restrictions.
So the banking regulations have not changed.
Okay.
The dispensaries and those have problems with, banks won't take their cash, because it is still federally illegal. The sales tax portion, because they're paying the state, we get it from the state.
Okay, so
It's the indirect, so we're
like
taking
money
the state
laundering
money
to
on
me.
it, even though it's designated, from that.
Similar to the tax that we get on a Discount Express.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
are we done with dope?
No, I'm afraid not.
Not even close.
Okay, I'm gonna move on then. I wish to reappoint Jennifer Shotwell and Walter Hayes IV and appoint Laney McGriff to the Board of Adjustments. I would like your approval to do that. Any comments about these people?
I move we approve your appointments.
I second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Jim Gozi to approve my appointments of Jennifer Shotwell, Walter Hayes IV, and Laney McGriff to the Board of Adjustments. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative, and they are appointed. Please notify them, Steve. Or Felina. Okay, now we get down to ordinances. An ordinance amending chapter 405 zoning regulations. Would anyone like to put it on first reading?
I move we put this on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by LaDon Allen, second by Holly Levine, to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending Title IV Land Use, Chapter 405 zoning regulations, Section 405.080, height, area, and yard exceptions to add language in subsection A.3.b to allow accessory buildings on a corner lot not less than 10 feet from the side corner lot line along the street side of the side corner lot along the street property line is if the side corner lot along the street property line is fully enclosed by a fenced space.
Discussion. Then we've already had some earlier on the site plan or with the amendment, so P and Z. No discussion?
I move we put this ordinance on the second reading by title only.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Rick Flynn, to put this ordinance on second reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending Title IV Land Use, Chapter 405, zoning regulations, Section 405.080, height, area, and yard exceptions to add language in subsection 8.3.b to allow accessory buildings on a corner lot not less than 10 feet from the side corner lot line along the street side if the side corner lot along the street property line is fully enclosed by a privacy fence.
Any further discussion?
Move we put this ordinance on final passage.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Roger Spencer, to put this ordinance on final passage. This is a hand vote to go to electronic voting. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative, please vote electronically. 6 in the affirmative with 2 absent, the ordinance is approved. It's ordinance number
2230.
2230. Moving right along, we have an ordinance approving an agreement with Bartlett and West to provide professional consulting service for a shelter and restroom facility in Lakeside Park. Discussion. Oh, we might have that first reading.
Move we put this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Rick Flynn, to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance approving an agreement between the city of Carl Junction, Missouri and Bartlett West Incorporated to provide professional consulting services in connection with designing a shelter and restroom facility for the city of Carl Junction in accordance with the contract documents for the sum of $55,000, providing the terms and conditions thereof, and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement for and on behalf of the city of Carl Junction, Missouri.
Discussion. Steve?
This is the redo of their contract previously, and it was 93,000, I think is what it was. Got the scope narrowed to where it's supposed to be and got their work narrowed to where it was supposed to be. And negotiation, they came back with the 55,000, which is acceptable for Missouri State Parks and Land Water Conservation Fund.
Steve, so that I understand, about 20,000 of this is actually going to be done by Algar Martin and Associates. Is that, or did I misunderstand that?
Yeah, this time Algar Martin is a subcontractor to Bartlett and West. So fees will all be paid to Bartlett and West, but they'll pay Algar Martin. And yes, those fees are called out in that.
Yeah, I have some questions here. I was kind of the same comment. The wording of the ordinance just says 55,000 for the design of a shelter and restroom facility. It looks like when you looked at kind of the itemized fees, 20,000 was for the design of the park and playground. I guess I don't know if that needs to be kind of included in the wording of this ordinance. It's just saying 55,000 for the shelter and restroom, or because it's kind of detailed in
And the contract combines both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it specifies $30,000 for part of it that this company will actually do themselves, but they include in there a $20,000 fee to Algar Martin for doing the rest of the engineering. What is it?
well, it's got
Right here, it's in the contract. It says park and playground site design, $20,300. And the bottom, that's done, that's a fee they're gonna pay to
I'm with you. That just
Algar
wasn't in the
Martin.
wording of the ordinance there. And I
It
didn't,
doesn't matter that. It just matters what the contract says.
fair enough.
The wording of the ordinance was complicated because we're not contracting with AMA for that specific part of the project. And this is all being done through Bartlett, with them in charge of the other part of the contract. The money's there. Description of what they're gonna do is a little.
The other thing that the description of what they're going to do, it says they're going to provide, they're going to design services for a pavilion that includes a male restroom, female restroom, and a family room. And initially we talked maybe also having a storage area in there, and that's not anywhere in this contract. And it specifically says changes to the contract would be additional fees. And the contract specifically says a female bathroom, a male bathroom, and a family room. And so I'm just wanting to make sure that we have this contract the way we want it. And if we wanted to include a storage space, I feel like we need to have said that in this contract possibly.
They're fully aware that we're wanting a storage space in there because that's where all the utilities are gonna be for the bathrooms. It'll be the utility chase for the bathrooms, will be the storage area.
And the only thing I tell you, Mike, is that this was a little difficult to draw. Elena and I worked on this jointly on this, and it's a lot closer to expressing what the overall contract is now than we started with, because of the unusual subcontracting nature of it. But we usually don't spell out all the details in the caption of the ordinance, as long as you're aware of what's actually included in the contract, so.
A lot of change orders is all I was trying to just make sure that we didn't run into those situations by trying to be clear and upfront. I also just
Well,
think
you know, like I say, we had to go with people that the state would approve, because this is not all our money.
that's the other thing I was gonna say. I know we initially got 3 different options for design services, and I still think the 55,000, and maybe I don't know, but that seems like a heck of a lot of money for a pavilion. I know that one of the other design services had designed some pavilions and some of the Joplin parks that I think were close to what we wanted, and I don't know if they would come in at a different rate or.
Actually, the pavilion is only 34,700.
Only.
That's with the bathrooms and all that stuff.
We couldn't, oh, yes, we could. They were the next in line. If you want to reject this, then I go to the next one down, and that's up to you guys, you know. We're recommending this one. Whether you accept it or reject it is totally up to you. And, you know, if you reject it, then we go to the next one and try to negotiate something with them.
Do you know the difference?
I know what engineers cost
Yeah,
nowadays
this
and
is
what
the
architects
lowest
cost
bid,
nowadays.
yeah.
There's not a whole lot of difference in money between the two, what they're charged. You know, you pay $200 an hour for an engineer. You pay $200 an hour for an architect.
I move we put this ordinance on second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, and Rick Finn, this ordinance on second reading by title only. Will clerk please read the title?
An ordinance approving an agreement between the city of Carl Junction, Missouri and Bartlett and West Incorporated to provide professional consulting services in connection with designing a shelter and restroom facility for the city of Carl Junction in accordance with the contract documents for the sum of $55,000, providing the terms and conditions thereof, and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement for and on behalf of the city of Carl Junction, Missouri.
Is there any further discussion?
Well, I would just add that I don't want to delay the project because I want to get this going as fast as possible, but I don't know what it would hurt, I guess, to go to the next one on the list and see what they're able to offer us.
Well, we got bids from them and they were more, right?
We need to get money.
No. You can't,
Oh.
with professional services, you can't do pricing up front. You do that after you've selected somebody. You do that negotiation for price after you guys have approved the qualifications, basically. Now, with Joplin, I want to point out, Joplin has an engineer on staff. Now, they don't have design people, but they have engineers on staff, so sometimes their costs are cheaper than ours because they got a guy that they pay.
I have no idea what they pay.
I wish we did have a staff engineer because there's a couple of things I think we could do.
I just look at, I have no idea because I have no way to quantify this, but, $20,000 for playground site design, even at $200 an hour, that's 101 hours worth of designing a playground. That seems sure would be nice. I have nothing else.
I move we put this ordinance on final passage.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Rick Flynn to put this ordinance on final passage. This is a hand vote to go to electronic voting. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative, please vote electronically. We have 5 affirmative and 1 against. The ordinance passes.
2231.
2231, thank you very much. Next, the reports. City Administrator's report. Burr. Any comments, corrections, or gripes for the City Administrator? Most of this stuff will be in the long-term projects report that he's now submitting, so. If we have no comments for him, I'll move on to the next thing. This is the long-term projects report from the City Administrator. Want to go over the ARPA water line and stormwater stuff?
Yep, as it says, we weren't awarded the grant for the water line. What we have, out here, Martin and I have started looking at is the state revolving fund. State revolving fund is a combination of grant and loan. So Kurt's checking that. That fits into that, no problem. ARPA stuff is using qualifications that they lay out for clean water anyway for SRF. So we'll have to find out basically how much is available on the grant side to be able to do this, and how much is on the loan side, or if we do it on our own and just do little bits at a time, because we did raise the rates to put enough in an accrual for water lines that we can do more and more of that as that money accrues. Stormwater, they told Kurt that once they did get done combining some projects, because you have lots of the cities did it a little different than us and then a lot like us, but we applied for 2 different programs or 2 different projects. Well, a lot of cities went ahead and applied for a 3rd one that is a combination of the first 2. So they had 3 applications that went in for the exact same thing. So once the state gets done combining some things, how they're going to fund them, they know that there's going to be some money left over, and we are 1.5 on the list because they partially funded 1 application. So as that money comes in, they'll fully fund that one, and then they'll move to us. They expect that there will be some money left over for it.
You have to submit again?
No. If we do the SRF, that is a whole different application and process.
That's through the water line.
Yes.
I was talking about more.
No, for the stormwater, no, we do not have to reapply.
Well, when they come back, can we break it somehow? The 490 for Briarwood Lane and then the 1 made from Main Street? I mean, maybe have a chance of getting one or the other.
Possibly. Yeah, they could fund one and not the other one.
Yeah, they're 2 separate applications.
Yeah, they're 2 separate applications.
Do you have
Well, I thought
any?
you said at one time that you bundled like 2 applications.
The water one, we did bundle. That's the way they wanted the water ones. And everybody's water applications were bundled projects. Stormwater was not that way. You could do separate.
Do you have any idea on a time frame on when they're gonna have all that figured out?
Years, because there'll be de-obligation from people that don't use all of it, that don't use it in time.
That goes back into.
It goes back into the fund, and they'll either have to spend it like anything else they get from the feds. They'll either have to spend it and send it back to the feds. And our state government does not like sending money back to the feds at all. They figure we have to spend it.
What do they have, like till 2025, 26 to spend
I
that?
think it's 26.
How about the generator? Do you have a date on that yet?
Yeah, what the holdup is the transfer switch is the holdup. They're still waiting on it to get here.
And sidewalks are gonna open the 13th.
Yes, sir, reopen.
Yeah, after the first high priced one.
Yeah,
So did they, what about the one that we have now? You know, that went over too now, didn't it? Phase
6.
phase 6 is one we just turned in, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that one, we're in an administrative process of making sure that it's on the transportation improvement plan for the region. We
'Cause
gotta do.
With inflation and all that, all the construction costs have come up, have gone way high on the bids.
Yeah, that one should be a lot better because that application was only a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a question with that.
Yeah.
With the site plan for the discount smokes and liquor, there was a little bit of talk in there about the sidewalk in front of them. And so they were hoping to wait until we did some sidewalks. So are they putting a sidewalk in? So is that going to cut out a section that we would put in, or?
No, what they did was they made allowance for putting the sidewalk in the way that our application went to the state. So it's, and the state will pay for the sidewalk.
Any other questions on long-term projects? Very well then, we'll move on to the treasurer's report. Any comments about the treasurer's report?
You have 2 months worth of those in your packet.
Yes. No comments on the treasurer's report. We'll go to the building inspector's report, which is under the department reports. And as you can see, with the downturn in construction, our inspections have gone down. When interest rates go up, construction goes down. Any comments?
They've been busy.
Yep. Let's see, we got PD report, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Got it here in front of us. Any comments on the PD report? Shop with the cop this weekend? All right.
I have a question about shop with cop. Do we need to register? Somebody said we have to register that we're gonna be there, or?
In order to volunteer?
Yeah.
We would like to try to get a good number on how many is going to be there. So if you would call, you know you're going to be there, if you call the police department and just let them know that you'll be there. I know we're going to have people show up that don't call, but we would like to try to get a kind of a number before we get there. As we stand, when I left earlier today, we're at 228 kids. Our target's 225, so we're going to shoot over that.
Anything else for the chief? Very good. Didn't we get a report from Jay?
Yeah.
Do I have one here? Oh, I thought we did. Okay. Sorry. So you haven't been busy at all?
Not really.
Got a little leaves, right?
Leaves. You go home at night thinking of the leaves?
Really, I go home at night thinking about line rotating. Since fiber optic hit town,
Yeah.
they called it the whole northwest section of town one time.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, any questions for Public Works? Jay, anything?
Like the water shutoff was down a little bit.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Only get about 10 calls on that every month. Very good. We'll go to committee reports. Budget and finance.
The only thing that I wanted to remind the committee about, and Mark is gone, is we've got, 6 weeks till we start budget planning meetings. So members of the committee, maybe before the next meeting, kind of be thinking of what days or times or anything kind of work best, so that we can start scheduling them, a few weeks ahead of time. Because we'll need to meet, what, five weeks? That's all I had, just a heads up, and then, of course, anybody else can attend, but if the committee members can. kind of
Yep.
That's all I have.
Anything else for budget? Very good. Code and nuisance, Rick.
Nothing at this time.
No questions for Rick? Okay. Human resources, Roger.
Yes, we have a closed session coming up at the end here.
Okay. Public facilities, Mike.
I have nothing.
You didn't have to hear anything from the guy that contacted, did they?
Sprinklers.
I'm not really involved with that. I don't know. I think Mr. Teeter did contact him, and
I know, I heard you contacted him. I didn't know if they've done anything.
I haven't heard.
I was kind of curious on that too.
yeah, I haven't heard.
Okay, thank you. Anything for Public Works for Mike? Nope. Senior citizens, Richard, like to speak?
Nothing to report, really.
Okay,
Going good.
okay. You have anybody for breakfast Saturday?
I'm gonna clarify there. The breakfast is really the Lions.
I know,
Oh,
but it's in the senior center.
But it's in the senior center, yes, and then it was jam-packed with Santa Claus and kids and a basketball game.
Basketball, I know. I was there.
This was the place to be on Saturday.
I think everybody in town was there. Nothing with senior citizens? Very well, man. Unfinished business. Jim?
No.
Mike?
Nothing.
Ladonna?
No one finished.
I have nothing. Right.
Nothing.
Rick?
I'm just gonna say something about the what's the name? The smoke shop? Is this okay, unfinished business?
Discount Express.
Discount Express?
Yeah.
I voted against that because I want you to know, anytime I can make it harder for someone to get alcohol and cigarettes, I'm going to do that. That's just how I feel. As far as marijuana, if it has to be here and we can tax it, let's tax it. But I would vote to ban it. Is what I'm.
I agree with you, yeah.
So
That's what I personally feel too.
I just want to do
In the
that.
presidential election, yeah.
Real quick, because I was gonna bring that up under new business, but since you brought it up under unfinished, my point, I'm finishing up my 8th year of doing this, and one thing that I have learned, and I know Mark has been really good about stressing, is if you do have concerns about something, if you would please discuss them, not just vote one way, because we can really, really close to losing a lot of sales tax. And I understand everybody has personal feelings strongly about one thing or the other, but this is not where we do that. The only time we should take anything into consideration is if it's a public hazard or if it goes against a constitutional right, or if it's something that as a community whole it's not good for. But just because we have a personal feeling against something, then we need to decide, I think as a group, what's best for the community, and then we make the personal decisions ourselves. Because we push and we push and we push to get businesses and sales tax and everything else in, and then we've got a business that's basically the same as Casey's. And because we call it a smoking liquor shop, we vote against it because we have a personal issue with the thing. Well, this isn't our place to have a personal issue. This is our place to do what's best for the citizens and on behalf of the city. And if it's a dangerous safety concern or something else, my point is, I would really like to see every member of this council, if you have a problem with something, discuss it before blindsiding people with a vote when we don't have a chance to talk about it. And we just about lost a whole lot of sales tax and a business that's coming in a curve that has sat with a rundown building for 2 decades. And I apologize if I offend anybody, but we've got to separate what we think of on a personal level. Now, I'm not saying go against character, go against anything else, but we have to set aside, sometimes there's things I don't personally want to take part in, but if I know it's best for the city, and if I know it's going to guarantee people have their rights, then I will vote for it. That's all I have to say.
Anything else, Rick?
I'm not gonna argue up here. We can talk later.
Holly?
I'll just say that I definitely, excuse me, want to attract businesses to our town. The image of that coming, the first thing you see coming into town, and the one in Web City does not look very nice. That was my only concern.
Mr. Talley?
I feel like I have an obligation to speak on the subject.
Please do.
The Board of Alderman cannot be arbitrary and capricious in granting licenses to operate businesses if they're lawful businesses, unless you have a reason that they don't comply with our ordinances. You're being arbitrary and capricious. I understand how you feel. I don't feel differently than you, but to deny a lawful business a license to operate when all they do is lawful in our city because we don't like them is grounds for litigation. And I just alert you to that, and I think I've done my duty, so I would be remiss if I didn't alert you to that.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Sorry.
Elena? Crystal?
Yes.
Steve?
No, sir.
Mark?
Nope.
Jay?
No, sir.
Go to new business. Holly?
No.
Rick?
No, sir.
Roger? I have no new business. LaDonna?
No, sir.
Mike?
I want to thank was it the Lions Club that put on the Christmas parade. It was nice, and the police force, a lot of officers there directing traffic, and so thank you for that. I think it was a nice parade. Second thing, you mentioned earlier with increase in the interest rates, the construction being down. Any of the ongoing or future projects we have you heard any delays in those? Like approved to apply for multiple new homes there. Is that just continue as planned, or some of that's going to slow down possibly? Because
It is absolutely slowing down, where we used to get, 10 or 15 new permits every month for new construction. We're getting
I guess
2 or 3, but yes.
that's expected. I guess I'm specifically some of the big subdivisions that we've approved. Are those still going on as planned? As far as we know, no
As
slow
far
down.
as we know.
With the,
Those are the
big
ones that I'm
buildings.
talking about. They're not applying for building permits like they used to. They would send in an email that would have 10 of them, and now they'll send with 1 or 2.
Just that side to you, in case you couldn't notice, I got a haircut today, so I'm bald. While I was in the barber shop, a guy came in to me and we were talking, and he said, "What's wrong with the Chamber of Commerce?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You notice you didn't have hardly any of the vintage cars in your Christmas Day parade. That's because the Chamber did not have a car show at Bluegrass Festival, and they're going to boycott it."
I don't know about that. I was riding in a vintage car in the Christmas parade. There
weren't as many as there normally are.
That's true.
And he was upset because I'm doing that because he said they used to attract a lot of people to those car things at Bluegrass. I just thought I'd pass that along.
A lot of people used to come just to see the car.
The
Yeah.
other part of that, Mike, is that I don't think I have ever talked to as many real estate agents as what I have in the past 3 or 4 months.
I hope they're good
Property
at
sales are still very active. And what's turned is that I don't get calls about an existing house or something. I'm getting calls on all these empty infill lots that we have around town. That's kind of surprised me a little bit.
I guess one more thing I could mention. I don't know if this is the place, but former councilman is kind of in ill health, and there's a GoFundMe up to kind of support. And so if you want to know more about that, I can tell you about that afterwards.
Yeah, please tell us now. That's fine.
A former councilman, also former director of the Chamber of Commerce, you know what I'm talking about, is so they set up a GoFundMe. Sharon Clark has to kind of support. He needs some help, I think. So anyway,
Okay.
That's all.
Jim,
Another,
new business, Mr. Talley.
no, Mayor.
Lena,
I just want to let everyone know you should all have an agenda for the upcoming legislative conference in Jefferson City. If any of you would like to go to that, just let me know and I will get you registered and get you a hotel room booked at the Capitol Plaza or elsewhere, depending on your
Yeah, elsewhere.
Elsewhere.
Elsewhere would be nice. So at least 2 votes for elsewhere.
that it?
That's it.
Crystal?
Why are you laughing? Yes, sir.
Because I know what you're gonna say. That's
I
why.
know. Okay, Elena and I were talking the other day, and the subject came up about the holidays. And we were kind of talking about the different holidays that we had, and the subject of New Year's Eve came up. In the past, we were never allowed to have New Year's Eve as a holiday because of the issue of people coming in that need to get their taxes paid in time before the deadline. That is no longer an issue this year or for the following years because Jasper County's taking care of it now. So we were wondering what the council would think regarding New Year's Eve as a holiday.
They'll be adding one more to the calendar,
Adding one more to the calendar.
which would not cost us a dime. So I would suggest that budget look at that.
Well, I'm gonna have to look at it pretty close, aren't we, committee? Because we are how many weeks out of?
You don't have to do it this year.
Look at those faces. I can't see them, but you look at those.
Hey, if you want to close it next meeting, or close it. What's that gotta be, an ordinance?
Yes, it's a change in the code book.
So as long as the budget committee discusses and lets you know in time to get an ordinance, then we can approve it next time. Or we can
Is
consider
anybody
it.
opposed to an ordinance we vote on next time on that?
No.
Okay,
I would say we work on drafting an ordinance.
that's what he's gonna do.
Budget committee will say.
What else?
The ordinance.
That's all I had, sir.
That's enough.
Steve,
Remind you that we will have a city hall Christmas dinner on the 22nd, lunch. If you need something to eat that day, come on by.
all right?
If
That
we
it?
run out of food, we'll run down to Randy's and get you a burger.
CJ's.
CJ's, excuse me, yeah.
Always gonna be.
Mark?
Oh.
Jay?
Oh.
All right, next is the closed session for revised Missouri statute 61021-3, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by a public governmental body when personal information about the employees discussed or recorded.
I move we go into closed session for the discussion of hiring, firing, or promoting employees.
Very good.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Roger Spencer. We go into closed session for 61021-3. This is a roll call vote to go into closed session.
Holly Levine? Yes. Mark Satterly? Rick Flynn?
Yes.
Mike Burns?
Yes.
Jim Dozy?
Yes.
Bob McAfee? LaDonna Allen?
Yes.
Roger Spencer?
Yes.
6-0, we are going to go into closed session. I'd like to ask everyone else to clear the room, please.